Honda's done more than what they typically do for a refresh here with the 26 Honda Pilot. I think they know that they might be losing ground to newcomers in the market, or relative newcomers like the redesigned Telluride and Palisade from the Korean rivals. You also have the Grand Highlander. From Toyota, you have the really well-priced Nissan Pathfinder. And Honda Pilot, in terms of sales, is not what it used to be. It's no longer like the easy #1 recommendation. There's just so much competition now in this segment. But are these updates that Honda has given to the Pilot for 2026, has it been able to keep it relevant in this really competitive large 3-row family crossover segment? But we'll find out today. We'll load this up with a bunch of kids. We'll also take this back to the office and give it a final score as we cross shop it against its rivals. Is the Honda Pilot still one of the best recommendations in its class for 2026, or should you be looking at its rivals a little bit more closely? There's the hood latch. No props, well, there's a prop stick. There are no shocks here on the Honda Pilot hood. They have put in a lot of padding here on the hood for 2026. And that's been a huge effort overall with this vehicle, is improving the NVH, okay? Adding padding here on this Elite trim, the wheel arches have additional padding. I actually can see it right here. I can touch it and it kind of depresses a little bit. They've also beefed up the windows throughout the vehicle to make it more quiet too. So we'll talk about how quiet it is when we start driving. But this V6 overall is pretty quiet until you put the hammer down. This is a newly-ish developed 3.5 liter V6. It's a double overhead cam. It's not the single overhead cam V6, even though it's the same displacement that you see on things like the Ridgeline and the Odyssey. That has actually, the VTEC kicks in over 5,000 RPM on that engine, not here. This is just more of a smooth, typical Honda power plant here. 285 horsepower, 262 pound-feet of torque, and since it's naturally aspirated, you're gonna have to rev it quite high to get that sort of power. And this is the only engine option. There are no hybrids still on the Pilot, which is crazy to think about, because here we are in 2026. Toyota has 2 hybrids, Mazda has a mild hybrid and a plug-in hybrid on their vehicle. Okay, and the Koreans have hybrids now. So Honda, which used to be a leader in hybrid technology, they will be implementing a V6 hybrid in the near future. And when I say near, it's not near enough, because it might be until 2029, 2030, where we could see a hybrid Pilot with the V6. So time's ticking for them. But in the meantime, this engine is really, really impressive. But fuel economy, I'm getting like 20 miles per gallon in town, where a CX-90 with an inline-6 gets 25, okay? Grand Highlander hybrid gets like 35. And then the Koreans, their hybrids, their turbo 4-cylinder hybrids get like, if I remember right, about 30 miles per gallon or higher, 30 plus miles per gallon. So this is going to be, I mean, it's tough right now with current gas prices if you're watching this in mid-2026. So yeah, it's a great powertrain. It's just going to be drinking a lot of fuel. It is mated to a 10-speed auto, which is overall pretty decent. But I'll talk more about that once we start driving. All right, so let's close the hood here and get on the improvements on the exterior. So what are the improvements here? Well, this is a solar silver color. You can also get ash green metallic on the TrailSport model. And there's a new dark blue color as well for 2026. Down below, we have this more macho chin. I didn't think it looked good in pictures, and actually probably looks best with this silver paint color, because it looks like it's paint match. It's actually a slightly different finish, different paint color here. And we also have fog lights here at the bottom. The grille's also massive now. I think it's been widened. It's very blocky. And right here, the headlights, they don't look that premium. I turned the turn indicator on so you can see that it is fully LED on top. That does look pretty upscaled, to be honest. But you have those reflector style headlights, which seem pretty outdated at this point, instead of having projector beams on most of the competition. The side profile of the Pilot here, it's big. It's still a very soft looking SUV. It doesn't look nearly as aggressive, unfortunately, in my opinion, as the little brother, the Passport. Okay, you look at the competition, like the Koreans, for example, they have a very upscale side profile. Even the Mazda CX-90, it looks a lot more sporty than this. So, you know, exterior design is not the Pilot's strong point. And let me know in the comments if you think it's a good looking SUV overall. I think it's very vanilla on the exterior design. Like, they took zero risks with the exterior design, and some people might be okay with that. Okay, so let's talk about these wheels here. I believe that they're a new design, possibly for 2026. This is a 20-inch wheel design. All right, I'm glad that they're not any bigger than this, honestly, because I want smaller wheels because I think the ride quality could be just a hair bit better at times, but it's still amazing. We'll talk about it when we start driving. It's really impressive ride quality, but it could be almost perfected if we had smaller wheels and a little bit fatter tires, okay? Maybe, I'm trying to remember if the TrailSport remedies that, but I haven't driven the Pilot TrailSport in a few years, okay? 360 camera on this model, and you can get that, I think, on the limited on up now, all right? Smart key access on the front door and the back door. I appreciate that as dad. Roof rails here, and this window back here is big enough so the kids haven't once complained of getting car sick this week. So let's get on the back side and talk about the styling and cargo. The Pilot in silver lettering, which sits on a black bezel, lack of a better term, Honda badge here. The rear taillights, I do think look pretty nice. The Elite badge as well. We have chrome exhaust tip fakes. I mean, these are not, I'm able to put my hand in here. These are just dust collectors here, these holes. They go pretty far back. So you can see, I don't know, was that 4 or 5 inches? These go back to make you believe that you have a dual exhaust setup. Well, you actually do have a dual exhaust setup, but you can't see it from the street level, okay? Oh, I accidentally hit the kick sensor. How funny is that? But there is a spare tire underneath. So, wow, that was meant to be, I guess. So we get under here. There's actually no lights on this lift gate, which is kind of surprising. The cargo capacity I'll put on the screen. This is where the Pilot takes off in terms of cargo capacity. The underfloor storage here is massive. If you don't have the removable bench seat in here, yes, you can remove the bench seat and stick it in here, which is amazing flexibility. I love that about the Pilot. Had that, and I think the MDX is like that too, but it's been a while since I've driven an MDX. But yeah, you have that removable seat in the bench and that second row that you can slot in here, and it doesn't really eat into your cargo space in theory, okay? But you also have pockets on each side for more cargo capacity, and you also have a little 12 volt here. There's no 120 or 110 volt household plug-in here back here, which is unfortunate. I think that would help it a little bit. I want to say that the Passport does, but I could be wrong. And you even have a little tray on this end for more cargo capacity too. Let's see if we can kick to close intentionally that time. Nope. You try it over here. Nope. There's a button right here I can push. I can walk away. Hopefully that closes it. There it goes. There's a button right here, which makes really easy for the kids to get into the third row because it just absolutely ejects this seat forward, not unsafely. Okay, it is pretty controlled, so your kids aren't going to get smacked if they press that button or anything. But let's go and get into the third row and talk about how accommodating it is for the passengers back there. Even though this middle seat is not up, I do have a lot of leg room to get my feet back here. Now, I don't have the world's biggest feet, I'll be honest, but my feet can slide under the seat in front of me. And the legroom, even though the seat's pretty far back, there's also a button on the back of the seat to eject it forward when the kids want to get out. But this is actually more legroom than I was expecting. Now you can see my knees are quite high, but what do you expect? I'm in the third row. This is for the kids. My kids I've had 3 in a row in the back this week. Here's evidence of them existing back here. I also found a peppermint a second ago, but they have had no complaints. It hasn't been too hot for them. They have vents in kind of an odd place. Ideally the vents would be above, and the Honda Odyssey has not figured that out either. Those vents are kind of by the cup holder area too, so I wish the vents were higher. But again, my kids don't sit as tall as me. They're like down here, so these vents really haven't been an issue. The windows are pretty large, big enough, but this pillar is massive. This C-pillar is enormous. I wish it was a little bit smaller so we could have bigger windows. like I want to say the new Telluride has massive windows. Okay, there's a little USB-C on each side, and they do illuminate at night. And even the third row here on this Elite trim has the new diamond stitched ultra suede or whatever they call it here on the top end of the seat, which I really appreciate. And the headroom is absolutely enormous. Okay, legroom was better than I expected. Headroom is enormous. So let's get into the second row. All right, let's push this back, fold it up, move the booster seat. All right, yeah, the seat's fine. You know, it is a bit firm, and that's the true for this seat in front of me, is that the seat is just a little bit firm, and if you sit in here for an hour, you start feeling it, unfortunately. It's at the bottom cushion's really firm in this car. Now, I do have heated outboard seats here. I have climate control right in the middle. I have USB-Cs as well. Here's my power outlet that I didn't have in the Cargo. Okay, I could always run an extension cord if I need to, but this is 150 watts. Not nearly as much as I think the Toyotas will have 1500 watts on their hybrids. Anyways, this is, we have sunshades here. The door opens massively. And so putting Abe in, or if you have a rear facing seat, or if you have a toddler, putting them into the car seat on this huge opening has been super easy this week. So it's a really good vehicle for parents with little kids. I'll say that. Would I prefer to have an Odyssey? Yes, I like the Odyssey more than this. I haven't reviewed the Odyssey this year. Hopefully I can soon. Love that van, but I know not everyone wants to be a van mom or dad, so the Pilot's going to be fine for a lot of people. Okay, also this trim here on the doors, it's kind of like a fake wood with desert dirt crack. It's hard to put into words. It's unique. It's not real wood. It's definitely plastic, but it looks kind of nice. All right, I mean, I can move the seat forward a little bit, okay, for more space back there, move it all the way back, and have a little bit more leg space as well. But we're opening the sunshade to bring a little bit more light in here, but let's go and get in the front seat because there has been some updates there up front as well. Heated steering wheel on this model, the buttons right here, heated and ventilated seats. Honda has the best climate control knobs and buttons in the industry. Unfortunately, it's just covered in glossy black. The center console, the material is just hard touch plastic. And we do have that new cracked wood sort of design here around the cup holders, but the shift select, which I would love for it to be like a column shifter, like some of the competition is doing now, because that would free up all this area for more space for you to put your belongings or, you know, whatever. Okay, but this just doesn't look that nice. Okay, the glossy black, just tuck it away, get rid of it. It's all shift by wire anyway, so just put it somewhere else. You have your drive modes here. There's a lot. Okay, I've been driving only in normal this week. There's sport and econ modes, but there's also snow, trail, sand, and tow. So tons of different driving modes. Sport, yeah, it's louder though, and it takes away from how quiet this vehicle is. So it's not like it's slow in standard mode, and we'll do 0 to 60 here shortly. I do have a head-up display in here, which is really crystal clear. I appreciate that the font's nice and big. This is a new screen behind here. This is, I think, a 10-inch screen, which is fully digital. In the past, I think it was half digital, half analog. It's not the most customizable, but it gets the job done. I really have no complaints with it. This is the new Google built-in system here, and I think there is a way to make it full screen. There's like this little widget here on the right-hand side that I think you can get it to remove if I Google how to do it. All right, but you know, I do have my Android Auto, Apple CarPlay here, which goes full screen when it goes to navigation, which is nice. This is a new screen, by the way. This is a 12-inch screen. The old one was a 9-inch screen. It's faster, snappier. There's a little shelf here to use to stabilize your hand while you're driving. A volume knob. I mean, the volume knob's small, but I'll still take a volume knob over a scroll wheel or a, God forbid, touchscreen volume or something, or a button to press volume. Oh my gosh, so volume knob is absolutely fantastic. Like I said, the climate control is amazing in here. USB-C's, good spot. Wireless charger actually works in this model with my phone, no problem. Okay, and the steering wheel is pretty nice. However, there's some glossy black on it that takes a little bit away from possibly me as a driver. It could blind me at some point, as well as the other glossy black here. Pretty basic dash, honestly. It's soft touch and a little contrast stitching, but nothing too crazy. There's a little suede actually on the bottom. I just noticed this because I'm feeling it, because it looks the same color as this more leather this leather material. On the bottom is the suede. Weird. Okay, up here on the seats, again, the seat back is comfy, and the new quilted part of the seat's real nice. But the seat is very hard, and there is no thigh extension here, which doesn't matter too much, but it would have been nice. There's no massaging seat function, which a lot of competition has. There's no digital rearview mirror like a lot of the competition has. The panel roof is nice, I will give them that, and that's about it. It's a very no frills, I would say, basic, easy to work with interior. I really like it overall. It could be a little bit higher quality material in some spots. I want a little bit more equipment in this top Elite trim. I know there's the black, Elite Black or whatever, which just adds a little bit more black features, but it's pretty much the same equipment wise. Bose sound system sounds good in here too. So with that being said, let's go ahead and do a 0 to 60, because I'm not doing it with the family, the 0 to 60. So we'll do this 0 to 60 now, and then we'll load up the family and get Cassie in here, get her impressions on the Honda Pilot, because she spent some time in this vehicle this week too. And we'll give it a final grade after that. Brake boost, I disabled traction control through the menu because there's no button for it. Okay, there's 60. 0 to 60 in 7.97 there. I got 7.6 just a second ago. So I would say 0 to 60 is probably 7.6 seconds. I did 2 runs there. That one was a little bit slower. All right, it's not slow, but it's definitely not top of class. That would be something like the Grand Highlander Hybrid Max, which is 0 to 60, and maybe even the Ford Explorer with the twin turbo V6, if you even want to put this in the same category. The inline 6 from Mazda is definitely faster than, I mean, all the competition that has a hybrid or an inline 6 is faster than this. So it's not slow, it's just not quick. So its powertrain is satisfying in daily driving, but it's just not going to return, like I said, great fuel economy. Parking brake, let's take that off. We are in the 26 Honda Pilot. Cassie always appreciate a top-down camera.
Oh, it's amazing.
Parking sensors too.
Think of beauty.
You know, look how light the steering is. It's something that they changed for 2026.
That's kind of nice, no?
I think I really don't like it, but for you, like, you wouldn't have to work at all to move the steering wheel at low speeds.
Which is nice.
I think they tuned it for moms. I'm not saying, I know some moms are stronger than me, that's not a thing, but I think, like, when I think why they would have this sort of light steering when they didn't in the past is to accommodate maybe to moms. That'd be my thought. What is your thought on that? Like, it's a lot lighter than our van. Our van requires a lot more work to move
To me, that says that it's an easier car to drive.
It's just easy, okay.
So maybe that's like what it's supposed to signal, like, this is an easy car.
It's an easy car.
Easy breezy car.
No, but the steering does firm up as you go faster. Okay. Yeah, it's just like under 15 miles an hour especially, it's like one finger steering.
Maybe it's like a mental game, like, don't worry, you can back into the spot. Let's go, we're good.
Yeah. So I'll talk more about the steering later. I want to give it a final score, but the ride quality is still, I think, impressive. Like, our road here it's not perfect by any means. And I can tell pretty quick what a vehicle's ride quality is like, and I'm really happy with Honda, how the Pilot rides. They've also made it a lot quieter. All right, I have a acoustic glass on this trim, and I think even the back windows are acoustic to some degree. Maybe they're thicker, I'm not quite sure, but the car is very, very quiet. And this also has cabin talk, and we played with that yesterday, right?
That was fun.
But it doesn't have cabin watch that we love in the Odyssey.
I love cabin watch.
So that's kind of a miss. We'd love to have a family cam in the back, but you know, it is, the panel roof kind of makes it hard for a camera, you know?
Yeah.
So, Cass, okay. Your thoughts on the interior?
Very average.
Average, yeah. The Pilot is
luxe.
kind of that. Not luxury, even though this is priced luxury. I'll put on the screen, you know, what this Elite trim comes in at. So we've been in Palisade, and now it's like a mid-century modern couch that you're sitting in, and that costs about the same as this. So it's like, you know, even though they made the seats nicer, so on the back of your seat here.
Okay, yeah, I will say the seats are nice.
The seats are nice. How does it feel? How's the bottom of the cushion feel for you?
Like the bottom of a cushion.
To me, it's very firm.
Oh, firm. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know, maybe it's fine for now, but like when I was picking the girls up, I was in the car for like over an hour at the time, and my butt was getting numb.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. I can see that.
So, everyone's butt has different layers of comfort. So, all right, and we're going. So let's get into the powertrain. You know, I already showed you 0 to 60s. It's almost like driving our van, right? Because we have a 3.5 liter V6 in our van. This just has a better transmission, right? It's a 10-speed. It uses the V6 a little bit better, all right, because it doesn't have a lot of torque low end, so it has to be geared properly, and the gearing's really nice here. It does have a lot of like gusto from a stop most of the time, so, and the engine sounds good, but they didn't try to remove engine noise. They almost like, hey, we know the V6 sounds decent, we're gonna keep that in the cabin, and especially in sport mode, it gets a lot louder, and it's way too much for me. But I like that it's not just complete. Like if you didn't hear the engine in here, it would be almost too vanilla. It'd be like double, triple vanilla. But the fact that we can hear the engine and have a little bit of feedback from what's going on underneath the hood is kind of nice.
Makes it sporty.
Makes it sporty. Yeah.
I guess with the trim, they do try to be interesting.
Yes.
With the tricolors.
It looks nice, and then you touch it, and you're like, oh, that's just plastic. And it's like, oh, I wish it would be at least textured in some ways. Okay, it looks more interesting than what it is. It's almost like an optical illusion. I
know, it's interesting.
Yeah. You have this. I mean, that's nice. You would put, what, wipes up there or something?
Oh, yeah, wipes. Dramamine if it's a trip.
Dramamine, yes. Lots of storage space underneath the armrest here.
Yeah, big console.
Cup holders, they're pretty loosey-goosey. Very loosey. I wish they were a little bit more sturdy, but that's a minor nitpick.
Do you like these knobs?
Oh yeah, I mean, this is perfect. I don't like the gloss. I wish it was just matte black, because this is going to get dirty and blind me. It's only a matter of time.
I see.
But the functionality here is perfect.
Yeah,
easy.
Like
so much easier than our van.
Oh yeah, our van's so confusing.
Our van's so confusing.
Oh my
This
goodness.
is like, okay, more fan, less fan. Auto, temperature, and the clicks are really nice. Like, it's just a really, really perfect climate control experience. And the girls get good climate control. Like, if I want to play with the rear, it's just this button. Okay, and then I can adjust the rear, but I just have theirs. I just put theirs on auto.
Yeah, that's nice.
And I just push it right back to the front. So the handling here, I think that the Pilot feels pretty solid in the turns unless you push it too hard, but the steering, it's just hit or miss, I'll say that. Which is crazy because they retuned it for this year, but I swear they just retuned it for parking lot ease. Parking lot ease, like right now, it's like I have to do zero work to maneuver this thing around and get into a parking spot. And for mall crawling, this is probably, it's a good thing, for parking lot, fine, like I'm just gonna I'm gonna be in this spot right here. I barely have to touch anything. I barely used any strength there and got herself in. The 360 camera buttons right here. So it's good for that sort of situation, but not for driving dynamics, in my opinion. So we've made it to Tractor Supply. We're done talking about our driving impressions. We're going to go ahead and get in the office and give the Honda Pilot a final score. Time to cross shop the Honda Pilot. Interestingly, in my area, there's quite a few Pilots. Okay, right now I only have 35 Elite models. If we looked at all of them, there's 540. So availability is actually quite good here on the Pilot. But if we go back down to trim level again, very few black editions, very few elites, a ton of EXLs, and some sport models too, like hardly any Tourings, hardly any TrailSport. So it seems to be the vast majority are going to be sport and EXL, which is the two lowest trim levels. So Honda seemingly being a bit strategic here. Maybe they can't compete at the top end because of lack of features or lack of powertrain options. That's just a theory of why the trim levels are so heavily impacted at the bottom. You might be saying, hey, it's just the market right now. People can't afford, much more than $40,000. And look, I think the Pilot, I wouldn't want to spend more than 50 grand on a Pilot. That's for sure. This is, I don't know how this is still in the system, a leftover 2015, but the biggest discounts we're seeing is about $1,500, and that's on the base sport model. Do I think a base sport is worth it at 42 grand? Absolutely. Again, I think I think up to about $50,000 is where the Pilot is a good buy. Let's go ahead and look at what EXLs are costing. Not that much more, honestly, than a Sport. So an EXL is a pretty good buy. And you can just see the contrast here. The front bumper looks best when it's a silver on silver. Okay, it looks a bit odd when you put it the gray painted bumper with like any other color, in my opinion. Maybe it even looks odd with like a dark gray or black. So let me know if you guys agree. Like, it does not look right with the red. Let me know if you guys agree with that. The painted front bumper here doesn't look quite right. It looks fine on the silver model that I have here. It looks the best actually with the silver model I have. Anyways. All right, so 40 to 50K is where I would want to be. But what else is out there? Well, here's a new Telluride. Telluride is the best 3-row SUV I've tested in a long time. I want to see what kind of trims we're working with here. And I just have the hybrid up. The turbo 4-cylinder is fine, and it's actually more powerful than the vehicle, or at least a lot more torquey than the V6 we tested today. Definitely more torquey. But what about trim levels that we're seeing? This is, again, just the hybrid model. Quite a few EX and SXs. Those are the entry-level models. And then the X-Line XX and the X-Line SX Prestige, those are the top-of-the-line models. So there's actually a ton of the top-of-the-line models. What's the cheapest you could get a Telluride hybrid right now? 50K. 50K for a hybrid EX. Yeah, I would absolutely, and I like the style of this a lot more than the Pilots. I would pick the Telluride over the Honda Pilot, especially if you're looking for a hybrid. Okay, what about the Grand Highlander? Well, the Grand Highlander is not, it's more spacious, but it's not as good of a driving vehicle. It's not very enjoyable to drive comparatively. The Hybrid Max is fantastic, but these things are just so expensive. 62K. The Powertrain people buy, and it's like kind of like the Toyota tax at this point. So I honestly wouldn't be getting a Grand. I'd be looking at the Hyundai and Kia hybrids right now. And look, you can get there are actually a ton of Palisade hybrids. They've been out a little bit longer. You can get these for the low 40s. Absolutely would pick this over a Honda Pilot. Sorry, Honda Pilot. And you can still get a V6 on this model. However, the V6 Honda is a much more lively vehicle. Again, I would only consider buying the hybrids of the Hyundai and Kia products that get you 30 plus miles per gallon and amazing NVH and performance at the same time. The inline six and the Mazda, okay, the Mazda is a much tighter vehicle, but the interior is much nicer than the Hondas. The exterior design is a little bit better, I would say, than the Hondas. Overall, drives so much, like it handles better. The steering feel is worlds better on this vehicle. What can you get these at? What's the lowest price? 35K. You could get a CX-90 for 35K, rear-wheel drive bias, all-wheel drive standard. Hondas are not, the Pilot's not all-wheel drive standard. And this is, yeah, it's not, I wouldn't even hesitate. Sorry, Honda Pilot, you're a good car, but I would rather get a Mazda CX-90. Now, do your research, because a lot of people have been having issues with this new platform for Mazda, so reliability might not be its strong piece there. But 35K, $5,000 off, where the most you can get about $1,500 off on a Honda Pilot, is from what I'm seeing anyways. And then you have the craziest buy. Okay, you can get, this is a lefter, this is probably not a real, this is an old listing, but low 30s for Nissan Pathfinder, also the naturally aspirated V6. Handles just as good as the Honda. The steering feels actually a little bit better here than the Honda. I like the exterior styling better than the Honda. I would pick this over Honda and save a ton of money. I mean, just look how many models are out there for well under $40,000. Okay, and the top end, actually, I like the interior on this top. Let me show you the top end of the Pathfinder. Let me find the Platinum grade here. There are a boatload of Platinums. Okay, let's see if we can find the interior. The climate control is pretty much a wash. I mean, the steering wheel is maybe a little bit nicer on the Honda. Okay, look, no glossy black in this area. The wireless charger is also good in this model. The seats on the third row isn't quite as nice as the Pilot's. Look, you can get a Platinum Pathfinder for $46K. Like, the deals, oh yeah, look at this tan interior. I would take this absolutely over the Honda's interior. Let me know if you guys would agree. It's not like this is that much better than the Honda interior, but it definitely looks more welcoming. Okay, but again, I love Honda's versatility with that removable third row seats. Anyway, so here's the thing. All the cars I just mentioned, I would either pick them. Like, what about an Atlas? Yes, I would take a Pilot over an Atlas. What about like a Traverse, a Chevy Traverse? Yes, I would take a Pilot over a Traverse. So it's not that fair that I put all them. I compare it against models that I'd rather have over the Pilot. The Pilot's just like middle of the pack. That's how I feel. It's very vanilla, even though they refreshed it. It doesn't get it anywhere closer to the upper echelon because it's still that hybrid V6 absent. It's not here. Okay, so this is going to hurt its final score. Absolutely, you can't get like amazing deals on these things like you can on much of the competition. So remember last year when I reviewed the Honda Pilot, it was just B tier. Here it is. All I said was V6 and it's vanilla. Now it's a little bit better now, but also you have worlds better and worlds apart, I should say, improvements from the Koreans, especially since the last time I reviewed the Honda Pilot. So let's go ahead and give it a final score here. Exterior design, a 3 out of 5. That's being generous. Okay. I am not a big fan of how it looks compared to the competition. Interior design, it's good. But there are touch points that could be better. The glossy black in certain areas, the location of the shift by wire buttons like could be in a better place to free up more space in the vehicle. Versatility, it would be perfect here if it had a little bit more cargo capacity. But that removable bench seat in the middle is amazing, and that's that typical Honda packaging engineering that they do really, really well historically anyways. Okay, climate controls, amazing. Volume controls, amazing. Comfort, the seat was hard, and then where my knees touched on the door panel was hard, and in the center column was also hard. So like comfort, they can do better here. Even though they improved the seat design, the bottom cushion is not that accommodating. Also, for a top trim, where a lot of the competition have massaging seats or thigh extension, this model does not. Software, if I could, well, there's no Sirius XM. There's no Sirius XM, so like I dock a point there, but otherwise the software is pretty darn good. Engine smooth, sounds pretty good. It could use more power, of course. It doesn't have the torque of the boosted or hybrid competition out there, but it's a really good engine, really solid, 8 out of 10. Transmission, it's good off the line, and day-to-day driving wasn't so much great in a 0 to 60, but like the transmission, the 10 speed for the most part is pretty smooth. Yes, Gigi. Did you already have one? No. Yeah, you can have a cinnamon roll. Yeah. Okay. Response while you're already going a certain speed, let's say you're going 45 and you put the hammer down there, it does take a while to downshift. Okay, so I enjoy the engine more than the transmission here, but the transmission's still good. Okay, 0 to 60, it's 3 out of 5, like I already showed you. Like 7.5 to 8 seconds is where it's at. All right. Efficiency, guys, this is where it struggles mightily against the competition. Okay. Pathfinder also gets the same fuel economy, but you can get it for a lot less money. And all the hybrids from the rivals, whether it's Mazda, Hyundai, Kia, or Toyota, all get significantly better fuel economy, from 25 on the Mazda inline 6 to about 30 from the Hyundai and Kia all-wheel drive hybrids to about 35 with the pretty anemic but still amazingly efficient Toyota Grand Highlander with the standard hybrid. They're not the Hybrid Max. NVH, really impressive here. There's a little bit of a vibration I get through the steering wheel, and sometimes it's a bit harsh through certain areas of pavement. That's why I was talking about the wheels. I wish they were even smaller. Give me 18-inch wheels with thick tires, and maybe, like I said, maybe the TrailSport improves that. Okay, ride quality overall really, really good here. NVH again and ride quality often go hand in hand. Brake feel was really strong here. Steering feel, this is probably the biggest disappointment. I had no issues with the steering wheel in the past, and under 15 miles an hour, it's like, it feels like a toy. I can just move it with a single finger. And then it's inconsistent over speeds like that. Yes, the faster you go, it locks in. But sometimes, like when you're taking a turn, the steering feels really good. And other times when you're taking a turn, depending on the speed, it just you have to like correct more like mid-turn. You have to correct the steering. So, they tuned it they said for responsiveness or for sportiness. I don't know like what they did with the steering here, but it's taken a step back in my opinion. It's probably great for moms who don't have as big arms as me. I get that. Moms who don't want to be hefting a steering wheel at low speeds. I get that. Like it seems to be tuned for someone who weighs about 115 pounds or less. Okay, under 15 miles an hour. It's just crazy how light and toyish it feels. It still handles well. You push it to its max and it has a lot of body roll, but at 8/10, it feels pretty good. It feels really good. It's not nearly as satisfying as a Mazda CX-90 in the turns or a Ford Explorer, which are rear-wheel drive bias. All right. Market value. This is where the Honda Pilot really struggles too. Okay, and I've been waiting to do this because I haven't looked at all the competition until just a second ago. There are at least five rivals that I'd rather have for the same or significantly less money. Okay, so the market value in the Honda Pilot's rough, I would say. The Pathfinder's way better market value. The Koreans, way better market value, and they look a lot better. The Toyota Grand Highlander, you get more cargo space, you get more efficiency. You're going to be paying top dollar for that thing, but it does a lot really, really well and does many things better than this Honda Pilot. Charm, bonus, and fun. Do I enjoy driving the Honda Pilot? Kind of. It's not a complete snooze fest. Fairly comfortable. It's easy. Everything about it's easy. There's no thinking involved driving it. But it does like some of its charm and bonus and fun. Some of that fun factor, like with the steering at low speeds, is unavoidable. How it's kind of been removed, in my opinion. So the sound system's good. So it's not a charming vehicle to me, really whatsoever. Okay, the most charming thing about it is the V6, which I can get a V6 in a Hyundai, which I wouldn't get the V6 in the Hyundai, honestly. I'd take a Pilot over the, like you mentioned, or the Pathfinder has a fantastic V6 as well. So doesn't really do anything. The best thing it does is the removable bench seat. That's the most interesting thing this Honda Pilot does versus a competition. Okay. It does have a spare tire. So where does this? It gets it to a 73 out of 100. 73 out of 100. Barely gets it, guys. It's right there with the Honda Ridgeline. Right there with the Honda Ridgeline. Wow. It's a good vehicle. Would someone regret buying one? Absolutely not. These vehicles are known for their build quality. The build quality is fantastic on it, at least from what I could tell. It's quiet. It's smooth. The ride quality is good. It doesn't have, the biggest weaknesses are fuel economy and its marketability right now. It's just, it commands a premium price tag seemingly, the Honda Pilot, yet doesn't offer really that much more, definitely doesn't offer more technology than the competition, definitely doesn't offer more features than the competition, doesn't have the most space versus the competition, definitely not the best fuel economy or the best performance. Whether it's handling or engine performance or etc. Okay, so there are many crossovers I'd rather have with 3 rows of seats than the Honda Pilot. Okay, let me know if I was too harsh on the Honda Pilot. Was I not harsh enough? I want to hear your impressions down below of my review. Do you own a Honda Pilot? I know people who own Honda Pilots. They have nothing bad to say about it. It's like it's a 3-row crossover, so why am I expecting it to be more than something that's super vanilla? Well, it's because there's competition that have vehicles that are not super vanilla in the segment, from Mazda to Toyota to the Koreans are way less vanilla, especially with their design and their interior. Okay, so the Honda Pilot, in years past, when I mean years past, I probably mean generations past, when there wasn't such steep competition, it was probably A tier or S tier in its heyday. But now the competition just is so fierce in this 3-row segment that the Pilot gets lost. In the press release for this, they say, the Honda Pilot is a segment leading vehicle. And I know Jessica Loudermilk, okay, you want to pump your product up. I get it. But the Pilot is not a segment leading. It's not even segment leading in terms of sales anymore. Okay, it's been passed by Grand Highlander, I think, in terms of sales volume. The Pathfinder is probably a little bit behind it, but the Koreans are either right there with it. I know the Telluride is beating it in sales this year, and I don't think it's that close. Honda Pilot is not segment leading. It used to be segment leading, you know, with the first and second generation Pilots. Here's the thing. If we were to review this with the new V6 hybrid, okay, it would probably go to a 9 out of 10 here, a 10 out of 10 in transmission response. 0 to 60 would be a little bit better, and efficiency would go up to a 4. It's not going to be 35 miles per gallon. So that would instantly, just the powertrain, would get it up to an 80 out of 100, which would be in A tier. This is one hybrid powertrain away from being really competitive in its segment. Really, really competitive. Okay, right up there with the Mazda CX-90. You know, maybe not quite as high in term because it still doesn't have the dynamics of a CX-90, and it doesn't have the design of the Telluride or Palisade. And I didn't even cross shop this, guys, with the Santa Fe hybrid. Would I pick a Santa Fe hybrid over the Pilot? And the answer is yes, unless I was towing. I would pick a Santa Fe hybrid easily over a Honda Pilot. So that doesn't help its cause either. All right. So let me go back. Let me make sure I don't leave these inflated V6 numbers in here. We had 8 here, 7 here, 3 here, and a 2 here. When the hybrid comes, it's going to do wonders for the Pilot. Wonders. And in fact, I didn't even mention, but NVH could go up as well, because of the quieter V6 hybrid engine. So that could go up, which should get it to an 81. So there's a lot of room for the Pilot to grow here. It's getting a bit too vanilla for my liking at this point. There's just so many other more enjoyable to drive, and oftentimes you can get more enjoyable to drive and better design, better price, etc. I think I don't need to beat a dead horse anymore. Honda Pilot, it's a solid buy. Okay, that's it. It's one of the most vanilla vehicles in segment. I'd pick it over the Chevy Traverse. The Traverse is actually a little bit bigger on the inside, I feel like, than the Pilot. But I'd pick a Pilot over the Traverse. I'd pick a Pilot over a Subaru Ascent for sure. I'd pick a Pilot over the Volkswagen Atlas as well. I mean, I think the Atlas might actually look a little bit better than the Honda. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I think it does at this point. But I think, you know, it is what it is. I got to shut myself down. I have a lot of thoughts about the Pilot because I have a lot of memories with the Pilot. My sister used to own one. It's been out for so long. I've driven many different generations of the Pilot. This newest one, it's good, but it needs to be great in order to be competitive. Okay. So I'll end it there. Thank you guys. Have a good day and peace.